Subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories. Like this video and comment your thoughts below. A billionaire's fiancée, twin daughters, a 7-year secret. The sterile scent of antiseptic usually brought a sense of calm to Nurse Emily Carter, a seasoned veteran of St. Jude's intensive care unit. But today, it was a suffocating reminder of a past she'd fought desperately to bury. At 30, Emily carried the weight of experience and a quiet strength that made her one of the most respected nurses on the team. "Dr. M!" A childish voice echoed down the hall, and a smile automatically touched her lips. "Anna, I've told you, Mommy isn't a doctor. I'm a nurse," she corrected gently, bending to hug her daughter, who was running towards her with a toy stethoscope around her neck. "But you take care of people just like a doctor," the little girl replied, adjusting her colorful framed glasses on her delicate face. Just behind her, equally blonde and bright-eyed, Lily approached, holding hands with Mrs. Gable, the kind neighbor who looked after the twins when Emily worked extra shifts. "Sorry for the delay, dear. Traffic was impossible on the freeway," Mrs. Gable explained. Emily smiled, kissing her other daughter's forehead. "No problem. You're just in time for me to show you the new pediatric staff lounge. There are children's books you can read while Mommy finishes organizing the files." The twins celebrated with animated applause. At 7 years old, Anna and Lily were perfect miniatures of Emily, except for their eyes, a striking blue-green that she recognized from another face, one she tried daily to erase from her memory. "Just be good, okay? We have seriously ill patients today." "Yes, Mommy," they replied in unison, with that seriousness that always moved her. Emily accompanied her daughters to the colorful, welcoming room, specially created for employees' children, who occasionally needed to be brought to work, a victory she had helped implement after years of requests. While organizing her day's tasks, Emily allowed herself a moment of reflection. 7 years had passed since she first held her daughters alone in this very maternity ward. 7 years building a fortress for 3. She had learned to be both father and mother, to balance the household budget, to work double shifts to ensure the girls had a good school and a decent life. Her cell phone vibrated in her pocket. It was a message from coordination. "New patient transferred to ICU, room 704. Mrs. Eleanor Vance, 67. Fall with head trauma. Delicate condition, Vance." The surname hit Emily like a punch to the gut. London was big, but not big enough to erase all coincidences. It wouldn't be the first time she'd attended to someone with the same surname as him. She took a deep breath. "Coincidences happen. Patty, I'm going to 704. Can you keep an eye on my little ones in the lounge?" she asked her colleague passing by. "Of course, those little munchkins are my favorite goddaughters," joked her friend, who had accompanied her through the entire pregnancy and the twins' first steps. The 7th-floor hallway was silent at that early morning hour. Emily gently knocked on the door and entered. The patient, an austere-looking woman even in her weakened state, was connected to monitors tracking her vital signs. Beside her, a younger woman, probably a companion or relative, was distractedly flipping through a magazine. "Good morning. I'm Emily Carter, the nurse in charge of today's shift. How was Mrs. Vance's night?" The companion looked up, assessing her from head to toe. "The night was restless. My mother-in-law had episodes of mental confusion. The doctor says it's normal due to the trauma, but we're worried." Emily nodded, checking the file and the monitors. "I'll check her vital signs and medications. Dr. Smith should be by soon for the full evaluation." As she performed the procedures, Emily felt an inexplicable discomfort. There was something familiar about this patient, in the aristocratic features of her face, in the way she seemed to possess a natural authority, even unconscious. "Are you her daughter?" she asked casually, as she adjusted the IV drip. "No, I'm her son," Daniel Vance's fiancé. He should be here shortly. He had an emergency meeting at the company. You know, construction companies don't stop, even with family problems. The world stopped. The stethoscope almost slipped from Emily's hands. Daniel Vance. There, about to walk through the same door after 7 years, the father of her daughters, the man who had abandoned her without explanation when she needed him most. "Is there a problem?" the woman asked, noticing her sudden paleness. "No, just a drop in pressure. It happens when we're at the end of the shift," she feigned, trying to control her breathing. "I'll order the pending tests. Excuse me." Emily left the room, her heart pounding in her chest. She leaned against the hallway wall, breathing deeply. It couldn't be. Not today, when the girls were at the hospital. She needed to get them out of there immediately. Almost running, she headed to the lounge, where she found Anna and Lily, playing with their toy medical kits, carefully organizing surgery on a teddy bear. "Girls, we're going to have to leave early today." "But Mommy, we haven't even operated on Mr. Paws yet," protested Lily, the more determined of the two. "We can come back tomorrow with the kit," Emily promised, hastily gathering her daughter's belongings. "Did something bad happen?" asked Anna, always the more perceptive. "You look like you've seen a ghost." Her daughter's innocent observation almost made her laugh nervously. A ghost. That's exactly what Daniel had become to her, a presence that haunted her thoughts on the loneliest nights, on the girls' birthdays, when she looked at their faces and saw his features. "No, my love. Mommy just remembered we need to stop by the market before going home." As she put the toys in the backpack, Emily tried to organize her thoughts. She needed to notify coordination, ask to be replaced in this specific case. She'd invent any excuse. The sound of voices in the hallway made her freeze. One of them, deep and distinctive, hit her like lightning, unearthing memories she thought were buried. There was no time. She took the girl's hands and opened the lounge door, intending to go in the opposite direction. Too late. At the end of the hallway, walking towards her with firm, determined steps, was Daniel Vance. More mature, his face slightly marked by time, but unmistakable. The same proud bearing, the same penetrating gaze, now framed by discreet lines of expression. He wore an impeccably tailored suit, a luxury watch on his wrist, the perfect image of the successful businessman. Their gazes met. First, confusion. Then, recognition. And then, absolute shock when he lowered his eyes and saw the two girls holding Emily's hands. Two girls with his same eyes, his same face shape. Time seemed to freeze in that aseptic hallway. "Good morning, sir," Anna greeted, breaking the silence with her natural friendliness. "Are you visiting someone sick?" Daniel opened his mouth, but no sound came out. His eyes went from Emily to the girls, from the girls to Emily, in a cycle of painful comprehension. "Anna, Lily, let's go." Emily gently pulled her daughters, avoiding Daniel's gaze. "Emily," his voice came out hoarse, almost a whisper. She kept walking, determined to get out of there as quickly as possible. "Emily," he called louder this time, taking steps in her direction. "Not now," she replied without looking back, quickening her pace with the girls. "Do you know him, Mommy?" Lily asked curiously. "He's an old acquaintance," she replied, feeling her heart clench. She managed to reach the elevator and quickly got in, breathing a sigh of relief as the doors closed before Daniel could reach them. The girls looked at her confused, sensing something was wrong. "Mommy, why was that handsome man looking at us like that?" asked Anna, always observant. "He must have mistaken us for someone else," Emily replied, trying to keep her voice steady. Upon reaching the ground floor, Emily took the girls to the hospital cafeteria. She needed time to think, to calm her wildly beating heart. She ordered juices for her daughters and a strong coffee for herself. Mommy, are we leaving without you finishing work? Lily asked, playing with her straw. No, my love. Mommy needs to finish her shift. We'll just wait here for a bit, and then go back to the lounge with Aunt Patty. Her cell phone vibrated in her scrub pocket. A message from an unidentified number. We need to talk. Please. I'm in the hospital chapel. Daniel. Emily closed her eyes for an instant. How did he get her number? Probably through the hospital system. As the owner of an influential construction company, it wouldn't be difficult. Girls, would you be okay with Aunt Patty for half an hour? Mommy needs to sort something important out. The twins were entertained with the drawings they were making on napkins. Emily left her daughters with her friend and headed to the chapel, a small, quiet space in the hospital basement. Opening the door, she saw Daniel sitting in the last pew, head bowed, hands clasped, in a posture she would never imagine seeing in this man, who was always so self-assured. He looked up when he heard her footsteps. His eyes were red, moist. Another shock for Emily, who had never seen him cry. How long? Was his first question. His voice choked. 7 years, she replied dryly. 7 years, he repeated, as if trying to process the magnitude of lost time. Why didn't you tell me? Indignation rose in Emily's throat like acid. Tell you? You? Who disappeared without a trace? Who cheated on me? For another woman, without even having the decency to break up with me personally? Daniel frowned, clearly confused. What are you talking about? I never cheated on you. You're the one who disappeared, who wouldn't answer my calls, who blocked all contacts. Emily felt her blood run cold. Don't invent stories now, Daniel. I saw the photos. I received the messages. What photos? What messages? He stood up, running a hand through his hair in evident frustration. Emily, I came back from my trip and you were gone. No one at your job knew about you. Your cell phone wouldn't connect. The air between them grew thick with unanswered questions, with the shadow of a manipulation beginning to reveal itself. I was pregnant, Daniel, with twins, your daughters. Emily let the words fall like stones, heavy and sharp. He staggered as if he'd received a physical blow, leaning on the chapel pew to keep from falling. My God, I have daughters, he murmured, more to himself than to her. Those girls, they're my daughters. Yes, Anna and Lily. They were born on August 10th, 8 months after you vanished from my life. Daniel covered his face with his hands. When he lowered them, there was a renewed determination in his gaze. Something is very wrong with this story, Emily. I never, ever would have abandoned you, much less pregnant. Someone interfered. Someone lied to both of us. Emily crossed her arms defensively. And who would be interested in that? The silence that followed was revealing. Daniel's eyes involuntarily went upward, in the direction of the room where his mother was hospitalized. No, Emily shook her head. She wouldn't do that. My mother never approved of our relationship. She called you, said I deserved someone from our circle. The little nurse, Emily completed, remembering the few unpleasant interactions with Mrs. Vance. But from that to separating a couple, hiding a pregnancy, you know my mother. You know what she's capable of when it comes to protecting the family, as she says. Emily sat down, feeling her legs weak. Flashes of memory returned. The strange messages, the unanswered calls, the photos she had received from an unknown number, showing Daniel embracing another woman. If what you say is true, we lost 7 years. You lost the birth of your daughters, their first steps, their first words. Daniel sat beside her, maintaining a respectful distance. I need to meet them, Emily. I need to be their father. They don't even know you exist. When they ask about their father, I say he lives very far away. And now I'm here, he whispered. Please, don't keep me from them. Emily felt the weight of a decision that would change 4 lives forever. The girls deserved to know their father, but how to introduce this stranger into their lives? How to explain all this? I don't know, Daniel. I need to think. The girls are my priority. They are my priority too, from now on, he affirmed, with a conviction that surprised her. I'm going to confront my mother as soon as she's lucid. I need to know what really happened. Emily's pager buzzed, calling her back to reality. I have to go back to work and decide how to handle this. Can I at least see them again, without saying who I am yet? Just get to know them a little? There was so much pain and longing in his request that Emily couldn't refuse. They're in the lounge on the 5th floor, but no revealing who you are. They're sensitive, perceptive. Like their mother, he commented, with a slight smile that almost melted the ice she had built around her heart. Emily left the chapel with her head spinning. Everything she had believed for 7 years could be a carefully orchestrated lie. All the resentment, all the anger towards Daniel could have been directed at the wrong person. Upon returning to the ICU floor, she found Patty rushing out of room 704. Emily, your patient had an improvement in consciousness. She's asking to speak with her son urgently. At that moment, Emily saw Daniel approaching the nursing station at the same time her daughters came out of the lounge, accompanied by another nurse. The girls ran towards her, animated, to show her the drawings they had made. It was like witnessing an inevitable collision in slow motion. Daniel stopped a few feet away, watching his daughters with such raw emotion on his face that it broke her heart. The girls, sensing his gaze, turned curiously. It's the man from before, Mommy, Anna pointed out. He looks sad. Lily, always the bolder, stepped forward. Do you want to see our drawing? We made a hospital with lots of doctors and patients. Daniel knelt to be at their height. His voice choked when he replied, I'd love to see them. Emily watched the scene, torn between fear and the inevitability of the moment. As the girls proudly showed their drawings to Daniel, Patty approached her. Who is he? The girls seemed to like him. Their father, Emily replied in a whisper. He just found out he's a father. Patty's eyes widened. Holy cow, is that him? Daniel? Emily nodded, unable to tear her gaze from the scene in front of her. Daniel examining the children's drawings with genuine admiration, answering his daughter's questions, his face lit up by a joy she had never seen in him. Do you want to be doctors? He asked the girls, smiling. Nurses like Mommy, Lily replied with conviction. Or astronauts, Anna added thoughtfully. We haven't decided yet. Daniel laughed, a sound Emily hadn't heard in so long it almost made her cry. The girls laughed too, as if sharing some secret joke with this stranger, who unknowingly carried the same blood. At that moment, from room 704, came the sound of the emergency bell. Emily and Patty immediately ran, followed by another nurse. Daniel stayed behind with the girls, who watched the sudden movement apprehensively. Inside the room, Mrs. Vance was agitated, trying to pull the catheter from her arm. My son, she stammered. I need to tell. Mrs. Vance, please calm down, Emily pleaded, gently holding her arms. Your son is here at the hospital. I'll call him. Eleanor's eyes met Emily's, and something in them changed. A recognition, followed by astonishment. You, the lady murmured. The nurse, his. Emily felt a chill run down her spine. I'll call your son now. Leaving the room, she saw Daniel still talking to the girls, now showing them photos on his cell phone, probably of some construction project, judging by the enthusiasm with which he explained. Daniel, Emily called. Your mother is conscious and wants to talk to you, urgently. He stood up, looking at his daughters with evident reluctance to leave them. "We'll save the drawings for you to see later," Anna promised, with surprising intuition for a 7-year-old. "Thank you, little one," he replied, lightly touching his daughter's hair, a gesture so natural and yet so significant that Emily's eyes burned. When Daniel entered his mother's room, Emily took the girls away, but not before seeing Mrs. LM's Eleanor Vance's expression, a mixture of fear and recognition. The past was about to be unearthed, and nothing would be the same. As she helped her daughters put away their drawing materials, Emily tried to process everything that had happened that morning. The unexpected reunion, the revelations, the possibility that her entire history with Daniel had been based on a lie. "Mommy, that man has eyes just like ours," Lily commented thoughtfully. Emily froze, surprised by the observation. "Do you think so?" she asked, trying to sound casual. "Yes, green with blue, just like us. And the smile, too," the little one continued. "He's nice. He said he's going to build a hospital just for kids someday." Anna, quieter, stared at her mother, as if trying to decipher a riddle. "He knows us, doesn't he, Mommy?" she finally asked. Emily felt her heart clench. Her daughters were always too perceptive for their age. "Why do you think that, my love?" "Because he looked at us like you look, as if we were the most important thing in the world." A tear escaped Emily's eye before she could hold it back. She quickly wiped it away, but not fast enough to fool her daughters. "Mommy's crying?" Lily approached, touching her face with her delicate little hands. "Just a little, my love. Mommy's emotional because—" She hesitated, searching for the right words. "Because today is a special day." "Because of the man with eyes like ours?" Anna asked, astute as ever. Emily took a deep breath. "Yes, my love, because of him." The girls exchanged glances. That silent communication that only twins seemed to master before turning their attention back to their mother. "Is he our daddy?" Lily asked directly, with the frankness of children. The world stopped for Emily. How to answer that question? How to explain something so complex to 7-year-olds? Before she could formulate a response, the lounge door opened. Daniel stood there, his face pale, his hands trembling slightly. "Emily," he called, his voice almost unrecognizable. "My mother confessed everything." Daniel's devastated expression said it all. In the small lounge, the air seemed thick, laden with secrets about to be revealed. The twins looked curiously from Emily to the stranger at the door, their perceptive little eyes catching the palpable tension between the adults. "Girls," Emily took a deep breath, kneeling to be at her daughter's height. "Could you go with Aunt Patty to the cafeteria for some hot chocolate?" "But we just asked an important question," Lily protested, crossing her arms with determination. Anna, always more sensitive to her mother's emotional state, touched her sister's shoulder. "Come on, Lily. Mommy needs to talk to the man with eyes like ours." Emily exchanged a grateful look with her daughter. Patty, who was watching the scene from the doorway, understood the silent message and approached the girls. "Who wants hot chocolate with marshmallows?" she asked animatedly, extending her hands to the little ones. After the girls left, a heavy silence settled in the room. Daniel entered, closing the door behind him. He seemed to have aged years in a few minutes. His eyes, so similar to his daughter's, were red and moist. "She confessed everything," he repeated, his voice choked. "Everything, Emily." Emily gestured to a chair and sat opposite him, maintaining a safe distance. Her heart pounded so hard she could feel it in her throat. What exactly did she say? Daniel ran his hands over his face, as if trying to erase the conversation he had just had. "When she found out you were pregnant, she planned everything." He paused, swallowing. "She intercepted your messages on my phone while I was asleep. She hired a woman to pretend to be my lover, and sent you manipulated photos. Emily felt her blood run cold. Memories of that dark period rushed back with full force. The photos showing Daniel embracing an unknown woman in a luxury restaurant. The cruel messages claiming he never wanted a serious commitment, that the relationship had just been a fleeting affair. "And the trip?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper. "You just disappeared. My mother invented a crisis at the company, a multi-million-dollar loss on an overseas project. She convinced me I needed to travel immediately to save the business." He shook his head, clearly disgusted with his own naivety. "It was all a lie. When I returned 3 weeks later, you were gone. Your phone wouldn't connect, your address. You had moved." "I blocked your number," Emily admitted. "And yes, I moved to a smaller, cheaper apartment. I needed to save for the babies who were coming." Daniel lowered his head. The weight of the revelation was evident on his slumped shoulders. "I looked for you, Emily, for months, at the hospital where you worked. They told me you had requested a transfer. No one knew your new address. It was for safety," she explained, feeling a pang of guilt. "I thought you might show up, make a scene. I was pregnant, vulnerable, scared. I never would have," he began, but stopped. "It doesn't matter now. The damage is done." Emily observed the man in front of her. Daniel had always been determined, confident, sometimes even arrogant. Traits that attracted and irritated her equally in the past. Now he seemed broken, the mask of the successful businessman completely shattered. "How is she?" Emily asked, referring to Mrs. Vance. "Devastated. The doctor had to lightly sedate her. Her blood pressure went up too high during our conversation." He paused. "She knew she was wrong. I think the imminence of death made her want to clear her conscience. And your fiancée, the woman who was in the room?" "Mariana," he replied dryly. "She went out to sort something out at the company. She doesn't know anything yet." An uncomfortable silence settled between them. So many unanswered questions, so many lost years, so many decisions to make. "What do we do now?" Daniel finally asked. Emily adjusted her badge on her scrub, an automatic gesture that helped her organize her thoughts. "I don't know, Daniel. We have 2 7-year-old girls who just asked if you're their father." His eyes widened. "They asked that? What did you say?" "Nothing yet. You came in before I could say anything." Daniel stood up, pacing restlessly around the small room. "I want to be their father, Emily. Truly. Not just on paper or with child support. I want to get to know them, take them out, be present at their birthdays, at their school performances. I want to make up for every lost second." There was so much sincerity in his voice that Emily felt the wall she had built around her heart begin to crack. "It's not that simple. The girls have a routine, a structured life. I can't just drop a bomb like that on them." "I know," he nodded, surprising her with his understanding. "We can do it gradually. First as a friend, then. And your life, Daniel? You're about to marry another woman. You have a huge company to manage. How do 2 little girls fit into all that?" The question hung in the air, heavy as lead. Daniel stopped pacing and looked Emily directly in the eyes. "My life changed the moment I saw those 2 girls in the hallway. Everything else, the company, the marriage, the commitments, took a back seat." Before Emily could answer, the door burst open. Mariana Smith, impeccable in her beige suit and high heels, looked at them with an expression of distrust. "Daniel, I've been looking for you for half an hour. What are you doing here with—" She looked Emily up and down. "The nurse?" The air in the small room suddenly became electric. Daniel straightened his posture. The vulnerability of moments before replaced by a firmness Emily hadn't seen since their youth. "Mariana, this is Emily Carter. We need to talk." The woman caught something in his tone. Her eyes narrowed with suspicion. "About what?" "Not here," he replied, giving Emily a meaningful look. Let's go to the cafeteria. Before leaving, Daniel turned to Emily. We can continue this conversation later. I need to sort this out first. She nodded, feeling the weight of the decision she would have to make. When the door closed, Emily allowed herself a moment of weakness, letting the tears she had held back finally fall. 7 years of anger directed at the wrong person. 7 years depriving her daughters of their father. 7 years convincing herself she was better off alone. Her pager buzzed, calling her back to reality. She needed to go back to work, to the aseptic, organized world where she knew exactly what to do, where there were no resurfaced ex-boyfriends, manipulative mothers-in-law, or suspicious fiancés. Only patients needing care. That she knew how to do well. In the hospital cafeteria, Daniel watched Mariana nervously stir the coffee she had ordered. He had told her everything. The story with Emily 7 years ago, his mother's manipulation, the daughters he had just discovered. Twins, Mariana repeated with a humorless laugh. Your mother really knew how to complicate things. It's not about my mother now, Daniel replied seriously. It's about Anna and Lily, my daughters. Mariana studied his face for a long moment. And what do you plan to do? Pay child support? Fortnightly visits? Or are you thinking of throwing away 5 years of relationship with me for a mistake from the past? The calculated coldness in her words hit him like a slap. Mistake from the past? We're talking about 2 girls, Mariana, my daughters. Daughters you didn't even know existed 2 hours ago, she retorted. Daughters of a nurse. The contempt in the last word was palpable. What will your partners and investors think? Daniel Vance, the great businessman, trading his traditional family fiancée for a single mother from the NHS. Something inside him broke. It was as if a veil had been lifted from his eyes, allowing him to clearly see the woman in front of him for the first time. You're just like my mother, he stated, with a calm that surprised himself. The same values, the same prejudices, the same inability to see beyond appearances. Mariana paled. Don't compare me to your mother. I'm just being realistic. No, you're being cruel and prejudiced, and I was an idiot for not realizing it sooner. Daniel took out his wallet, leaving some bills on the table. The wedding is off, Mariana. You can inform your family and the guests. You can't be serious. She raised her voice, attracting curious glances from neighboring tables. You're going to throw everything away for those bastards. Daniel felt his blood boil. He leaned across the table, his voice low and dangerously controlled. If you ever refer to my daughters that way again, you will bitterly regret it. I have enough lawyers to ensure you never get a decent job in this city again. He stood up, adjusting his jacket with a dignity he didn't truly feel. Inside, he was shattered, but he wouldn't give her the satisfaction of noticing. I'll send someone to pick up my things from the apartment. As he left the cafeteria, he felt a confused mix of emotions. Sadness for the end of a 5-year relationship, relief at finally seeing who Mariana really was, and overwhelming anxiety about the future with the daughters he barely knew. Emily was checking Mrs. Vance's vital signs when she felt a presence at the door. She turned to find Daniel, looking exhausted but determined. How is she? He asked softly, approaching. Stable. The sedation is taking effect. She should sleep for a few hours. Daniel watched his sleeping mother, her aged face now serene against the white pillow. I broke up with Mariana, he said abruptly. Emily stopped what she was doing, surprised. Daniel, didn't you need to? Yes, I needed to. She called our daughters bastards. Emily's blood ran cold. She what? Exactly. She showed who she really is. He ran a hand through his hair in a nervous gesture. I realized I was going to marry someone who despised people like you, like my daughters. Like me? Emily raised an eyebrow. Working people. People who build their lives with their own effort, he quickly explained. Real people, not those social event puppets. A thoughtful silence settled between them as Emily finished adjusting Mrs. Vance's I-4. The girls are waiting at reception, she finally said. My shift is over. Can I get to know them better? An ice cream, maybe? Or is it too soon? There was so much expectation on his face that Emily didn't have the heart to refuse. They'd love it. But Daniel, no revelations yet. We need to do it calmly. I promise. I'll just be Mommy's friend who wants to get to know them better. At reception, Anna and Lily were animatedly playing with the origamis Patty had taught them to make. Seeing their mother approach with Daniel, their little faces lit up. Look, Mommy, we made lots of little birds, exclaimed Lily, proudly showing her creation. They're beautiful, my love, Emily praised, taking one of the colorful origamis. Girls, Mr. Daniel wants to invite us for ice cream. What do you think? The twins exchanged animated glances. That silent communication that always fascinated the adults around them. Can we choose any flavor? Anna asked, always attentive to details. Any, Daniel confirmed, smiling. Even 2 flavors together? Lily insisted, testing the limits. Even 3, if you want, he replied, making the girls' eyes widen with delicious surprise. On the way to the ice cream shop near the hospital, Emily observed the interaction between Daniel and her daughters. He patiently answered every curious question. He showed genuine interest in children's topics and occasionally cast wondering glances at Emily, as if he couldn't believe his luck at being there. Do you build big buildings? Lily asked, naturally taking his hand, as if she had known him for years. Yes, my company builds buildings, roads, and bridges, Daniel replied, visibly moved by the small gesture of trust. Have you built a hospital yet? Anna wanted to know, always interested in the world of health. Not yet, but that's an excellent idea. Maybe we can design a hospital together someday. We can help, exclaimed Lily. I can draw super well. I'm sure you can. I'd love to see your drawings. At the ice cream shop, the girls chose exotic combinations that made the adults smile. Chocolate with pistachio and strawberry for Lily, vanilla with mint and caramel for Anna. Daniel opted for a simple chocolate, while Emily chose lemon, her favorite flavor since forever, as he quietly recalled. You remember? She commented, surprised. I remember everything about you, he replied, with an intensity that made her look away. The girls, entertained with their colorful ice creams, chatted animatedly about school, friends, the ballet teacher who demanded too much. Daniel drank in every word, every expression, every gesture, like a thirsty man finding an oasis. Why do you have eyes just like ours? Anna suddenly asked, with that disconcerting sincerity of children. Emily froze, her ice cream spoon halfway to her mouth. Daniel looked at her, silently asking for guidance. Sometimes people who aren't from the same family can have similar features, Emily carefully explained. Like a coincidence? Lily asked, licking the dripping ice cream. Exactly, Daniel confirmed, regaining his composure. A very special coincidence. Anna didn't seem convinced. Her gaze went from one adult to another, with that keen perception that always surprised Emily. Have you known our mommy for a long time? The little girl asked. Yes, Daniel replied honestly. We were very good friends when we were younger. Before we were born? Anna insisted. Yes, before you were born. And then you left? Lily's question hit home, making Emily choke on her ice cream. Daniel took a deep breath before answering, choosing his words carefully. Yes, I had to travel very far, and I lost contact with your mommy for a long time, but now I'm back." "Are you going to stay?" Anna asked, her eyes, so similar to her father's, fixed on him with an almost adult intensity. "If you and your mommy let me, yes, I would very much like to stay." The girls seemed satisfied with the answer, returning to focus on their rapidly melting ice creams. Emily and Daniel exchanged glances, a mixture of relief and apprehension. "Comment your thoughts on this unexpected reunion. Do you think Emily and Daniel can truly rebuild their lives together?" After ice cream, they walked to a small park nearby. The twins ran to the swings, leaving the adults sitting on a nearby bench watching them. "They're incredible," Daniel commented, his voice choked with emotion. "So intelligent, so perceptive. They've always been like that. Sometimes I forget they're only 7, how mature they can be. Anna is the most observant, right? And Lily is the most impulsive." Emily smiled, impressed. "You managed to grasp that in just a few hours with them." "They're my daughters," he simply replied. "I feel like I already know them, somehow." A comfortable silence settled between them as they watched the girls play. "When do we tell them?" Daniel finally asked. Emily sighed thoughtfully. "I need to prepare them. Maybe this weekend, after they've had more contact with you. They need to feel comfortable first." "And us, Emily?" The question caught her off guard. "Us?" "I know it's too soon. 7 years have passed. You must have moved on. Maybe there's someone in your life." "There's no one," she interrupted him. "There were a few dates over the years, but nothing serious. The girls have always been my priority." Daniel absorbed the information, an almost hopeful gleam emerging in his eyes. "Even so," Emily continued, "we can't just pick up where we left off. We're different people now." "I understand," he nodded, "but I'd like the chance to get to know the Emily of now, the respected nurse, the dedicated mother, if you'll allow me." Before she could answer, Lily came running, breathless with excitement. "Mommy, there's a magician doing tricks near the fountain. Can we see him? Please!" Daniel stood up, extending his hand to Emily. "Shall we go? You can't miss a magician in the park." She hesitated for a moment before accepting his outstretched hand, feeling a familiar shiver at his touch. It was like going back in time, and yet completely new. The magician was an old man, with white hair doing simple tricks, but they enchanted the children gathered around him. The twins watched, fascinated, as he transformed a handkerchief into a flower and then made it disappear. "How did he do that?" Anna whispered, open-mouthed. "It's magic," Lily replied, as if it were obvious. "There's no real magic," Anna retorted. "It's all a trick." "Sometimes," Daniel intervened, kneeling between them. "The most magical things in life aren't tricks, but special coincidences, like finding someone important you haven't seen in a long time." He looked up at Emily as he spoke, and something in the intensity of that gaze made her remember the past, the whispered promises, the shared dreams, the future they imagined together. Daniel's phone rang, breaking the moment. He answered quickly, his face turning serious. "I understand. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Hanging up, he looked at Emily with regret. "My mother woke up. She's agitated. The doctor asked me to come back." "Of course," she replied, understanding. "We have to go too. The girls have school early tomorrow." He turned to the twins, who were watching the magician do his final act. "I need to go now, but I hope to see you again very soon. Maybe we can visit the zoo this weekend." "Yes!" exclaimed Lily, jumping with excitement. Anna, more reserved, asked, "Do you promise you'll really come?" The seriousness in the question almost broke his heart. Daniel, how many promises had those girls heard from fleeting male figures? "I promise," he replied, with all the solemnity the question deserved. "I won't disappear again." They said goodbye at the park entrance. Daniel hesitated, clearly wanting to hug his daughters, but holding back so as not to rush things. He settled for formally squeezing their little hands, as an adult would with any child. "Until Saturday, then?" he asked Emily. "Until Saturday," she confirmed. "I'll text you the address." When Daniel walked away, Lily looked at her mother with that determined gaze Emily knew so well. "Is he going to be our friend now, Mommy?" "Yes, my love, if you want." "I want to," Lily affirmed, without hesitation. Anna remained silent, thoughtful. In the taxi ride home, she finally spoke. "He looks sad, Mommy. Sad and happy at the same time." Emily hugged her daughter, impressed by her sensitivity. Sometimes adults feel many things at the same time. "Like you now?" the little one asked, surprising her again. "Yes, like me now." The rest of the week passed in a blur. Daniel sent daily messages asking about the girls, sharing memories of the past, trying to rebuild the bridge between them. Emily responded cautiously, still afraid to open her heart completely, but increasingly convinced that their story deserved a second chance. Mrs. Vance remained hospitalized. Her condition fluctuated between stable and concerning. Emily had asked to be removed from the case, explaining the situation to coordination. Still, she occasionally passed by room 704 and observed the sleeping lady, trying to reconcile the current fragile image with the authoritarian woman who had destroyed so many lives with her manipulation. On Friday, the eve of the zoo trip, Emily was organizing files at the nursing station when Patty approached hurriedly. "Emily, Mrs. Vance is asking to speak with you. She's lucid and insistent." "With me? Are you sure?" "Absolutely. She said she needs to see you before it's too late." With a pounding heart, Emily headed to room 704. She found Mrs. Vance sitting in bed, looking much more fragile than she remembered, but with that same penetrating gaze that had always intimidated her in the past. "Mrs. Vance," she greeted formally, keeping a safe distance. "I heard you wanted to see me." The old woman studied her for a long moment before speaking, her voice weaker, but still with that characteristic authority. "You haven't changed much. You still have that determined look." Emily remained silent, waiting. "My son told me you reconnected, and that he met the girls." "Yes, they're pretty. They look like him when he was a child." The comment surprised Emily. "You saw them?" "Daniel showed me photos he took at the park. He can't stop looking at them." Eleanor paused, adjusting uncomfortably in bed. "He broke off his engagement with Mariana." "Yes, he told me." 5 years of relationship thrown away," the old woman commented, more to herself than to Emily. Then she looked up again. "I should be furious, devastated, and I'm not." A tired smile emerged on her wrinkled face. "Curiously, no. When he showed me the girls' photos, I saw something in his eyes I never saw before, not even when he was with Mariana." Emily felt her throat tighten. "What do you want from me, Mrs. Vance?" The old woman took a deep breath, as if gathering strength. "I want to ask for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it, that what I did is unforgivable. I separated a loving couple. I deprived my son of seeing his daughters grow up, all for pride, prejudice, and fear." Fear? Of losing him, of no longer being necessary in his life. Tears began to roll down her wrinkled face. "I was a fool, and now I'll probably die without knowing my granddaughters." The resentment Emily had harbored for years began to dissipate before this fragile, repentant woman. "The girls are curious about their grandmother," she finally said. "I told them you're sick, but we didn't go into details." Hope illuminated Eleanor's tired eyes. "You would allow them to visit me? We'll see how you progress in the next few days," Emily replied diplomatically. "If you're stronger, perhaps we can arrange a brief visit." It was more than Eleanor expected. She nodded, too emotional to speak. When Emily was about to leave, the old woman called her back. "Emily, he never stopped loving you. All these years, I never saw my son truly happy, not even with Mariana." A pause. "Don't make the same mistake I did. Don't let pride stop you from rebuilding your family." The words accompanied Emily the rest of the day, resonating in her mind as she picked up the girls from school, prepared dinner, helped with homework. That night, after the twins fell asleep, she sat on the balcony of the small apartment, watching the city lights. Her cell phone vibrated with a message from Daniel. "Still awake? Can I call?" Instead of replying, she called him herself. His voice answered on the first ring. "Hello," he said, sounding surprised and happy. "Your mother called me to talk today. She was direct. I know. She told me. What did you think?" "Honestly, I never thought I'd see her like that. Vulnerable. Human. The proximity of death changes people, I think," he commented. "The doctor says her condition is serious. The trauma revealed other health problems she was hiding." "I'm so sorry, Daniel." "Thanks." A pause. "Emily, about tomorrow." "Yes, I'm nervous. It's ridiculous, I know. I'm a 34-year-old man who runs a company with hundreds of employees, but I'm terrified of spending a day at the zoo with my daughters." She smiled, touched by his sincerity. "They're excited too. They haven't stopped talking about it all day." "And you?" The question came loaded with implicit meanings. "Are you excited too?" Emily hesitated, contemplating the London night sky. "Confused would be the more precise word," she finally admitted. "A week ago, he was just a painful memory. Now, I don't know what to think or feel. It's too much to process, Daniel. 7 years of anger directed at the wrong person. 7 years raising our daughters alone, believing you had abandoned us." "I know." His voice sounded sorrowful. "If I could go back in time. But we can't. We can only move forward." The silence that followed was charged with unspoken emotions, with unanswered questions. "How do we tell them?" Daniel finally asked. "I was thinking of something simple, direct. Children appreciate honesty." Emily took a deep breath. "Maybe after the outing, if everything goes well." "Do you think they'll accept me?" The vulnerability in his voice moved her. Daniel Vance, the powerful businessman, reduced to an insecure father, fearing rejection from his own daughters. "They already like you," she replied sincerely. "Anna asked 3 times if you'd really come tomorrow." A sound that could be a sigh of relief or a choked laugh came from the other end of the line. "Sleep well, Emily. See you tomorrow." "See you tomorrow, Daniel." Hanging up, Emily realized that, for the first time in years, she didn't feel that pang of pain when she heard his name. Maybe it was a beginning. Subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming stories. Like this video and comment your thoughts below. Saturday dawned with an impossibly blue sky, as if London had decided to cooperate with the big day. The twins woke up animated, discussing which animals they wanted to see first, while Emily prepared a hearty breakfast. "Is Daniel coming yet?" Lily asked for the 3rd time, her mouth full. "He said he'd be here at 10, my love. Still an hour to go," Emily replied patiently, adjusting the ribbon in Anna's hair. "And are we going to tell him the secret?" the little one continued. Emily frowned. "What secret?" The twins exchanged conspiratorial glances. "That we think he's our daddy," Anna revealed in a low voice, as if sharing a precious treasure. The glass Emily was holding almost slipped from her hands. "What? How? Why do you think that?" Lily rolled her eyes, with that expression of someone who thinks adults are lamentably slow. "It's obvious, Mommy. He has eyes just like ours. He smiles just like us. And he looks at you like in the old photos. What? Old photos? Emily asked, increasingly bewildered. The ones you keep in the blue box in the closet, Anna explained. We saw them once when we were looking for the school album. Emily sat down, feeling her legs weak. The blue box. The only place she had kept memories of Daniel, which she hadn't had the courage to throw away. Some photos, movie tickets, a letter. You weren't upset? She finally managed to ask. The girls seemed genuinely confused by the question. Why? Lily questioned. Because I didn't tell you the truth before. Because I said your father lived far away. Anna shrugged. He did live far away, and now he's back. The simplicity of children's logic completely disarmed her. For the twins, there were no complex lies or betrayals, just the simple truth that their father had been far away, and now he had returned. So, we can tell him we already know, Lily insisted, impatient. Emily took a deep breath, regaining her composure. We'll do this. First, we'll have a fun day at the zoo, get to know Daniel better. Then, we'll all sit down together to talk. Okay? Okay, they replied in unison, returning to focus on breakfast. Emily watched her daughters, marveling at their resilience, their ability to accept life's twists with a serenity that many adults would envy. Perhaps she had underestimated the little ones, protecting them from a truth they had already intuited on their own. At 10 o'clock sharp, the doorbell rang. Daniel was there, holding a large bouquet of wildflowers for Emily and 2 colorful packages for the girls. Good morning, he greeted, visibly nervous, but determined not to show it. The twins ran to greet him, their little faces lit up with anticipation. Is it for us? Lily asked, staring at the packages. If you want, he replied, handing one to each. Inside were complete toy veterinarian kits, with functional stethoscopes, thermometers, needleless syringes, and even personalized white coats with their names. Wow, exclaimed Anna, normally the more reserved. Now we can take care of real animals. Those are pretend, Daniel clarified, smiling. But who knows if someday you'll become real veterinarians. I want to be a nurse like Mommy, Lily affirmed with conviction. And I want to be an astronaut veterinarian, Anna added, making the adults laugh. Emily observed the interaction, perceiving the care Daniel had put into choosing the gifts, appropriate for their ages, aligned with their interests, neither excessively luxurious nor trivial. Thank you for the flowers, she said, when the girls ran off to put away their new treasures. They're my favorites. I remember, he simply replied. The zoo trip was better than any of them could have expected. The twins were in their element, running from cage to cage, absorbing every piece of information about the animals, asking endless questions that Daniel answered with surprising patience. Why does the giraffe have such a long neck? Lily asked, fascinated by the animal. To reach the leaves at the top of the trees, Daniel replied. It's an evolutionary adaptation. What's evolutionary adaptation? She questioned, stumbling over the difficult word. Evolutionary, he gently corrected. It means that over many, many years, giraffes that had slightly longer necks got more food and survived better. How do we adapt? Anna asked, always looking for deeper connections. Daniel seemed surprised by the question, looking at Emily for guidance. We humans adapt in many ways, she replied, joining the conversation. Our greatest adaptation is our brain, which allows us to learn and solve problems. And we also adapt when our family changes, Anna added, with a wisdom that made both adults look at each other. During lunch at the zoo restaurant, Lily spilled juice on her shirt. Before Emily could react, Daniel was already standing, wiping the stain with napkins, calming the girl who threatened to cry. No problem, it happens to everyone, he said, taking off his own jacket and putting it over her shoulders. "Look, now you have a superhero cape." Lily laughed, wiping her tears, instantly transformed from an embarrassed child into a powerful superhero. "You're good with them," Emily commented, while the girls were distracted with their ice cream for dessert. "It's natural," he replied, seemingly surprised with himself, as if he had always known how to do it. He just hadn't had the opportunity. At the end of the afternoon, when the children were already showing signs of tiredness, Daniel suggested a last ride on the little train that ran through the zoo. From above, they could see the entire park bathed in the golden light of the sunset. "It was the best day," Lily declared, yawning as she snuggled into the seat next to Daniel. Anna, sitting with Emily, thoughtfully watched her father and sister. "Can we do it again next week?" "If your mommy allows it," Daniel replied, looking hopefully at Emily. "We'll see," she smiled. "First, we need to have that conversation, remember?" The twins immediately straightened up, exchanging significant glances. Back at Emily's apartment, the girls ran to bathe and put on their pajamas, while the adults prepared a light snack in the kitchen. The domesticity of the scene was both strange and familiar, as if they were rehearsing a routine that could have been theirs all these years. "They already know," Emily revealed softly as she cut fruit. Daniel froze mid-motion of taking plates from the cupboard. "How so?" "They figured it out on their own, by the eyes, by the smile, and by old photos they found." "Photos? You kept our photos?" The surprise and hope in his voice were palpable. "Some," she admitted. "I couldn't get rid of everything." Before he could answer, the twins returned to the kitchen with wet hair and matching pajamas. Anna in light blue, Lily in soft pink. "Can we talk now?" Lily asked, always direct. The adults exchanged nervous glances before nodding. They took the snacks to the small living room, sitting together on the soft rug in front of the sofa, a habit from their family movie nights. "Girls," Emily began, carefully choosing her words. "Remember you always asked about your daddy, and I said he lived very far away." They nodded, their eyes fixed on her. "The truth is, I believed he had left by choice. I believed he no longer wanted to be with us, but I recently found out I was wrong." "Grandma Eleanor did something bad," Anna intervened, surprising the adults. "Right?" Daniel swallowed before answering. "Yes, my love. My mother, your grandmother, did something that separated your mom and me before I even knew you existed." "Why?" Lily asked, frowning. "Because sometimes adults do wrong things, believing they are protecting those they love," Daniel explained. "She believed your mom wasn't the right person for me. She was very, very wrong." A thoughtful silence settled as the girls processed the information. "So, you are our daddy," Anna concluded, not as a question, but as a statement. "Yes," Daniel confirmed, his voice choked. "I am your father, and I am so sorry for not having been here all these years." "But now you're going to stay?" Lily insisted, the same question she had asked days ago, now loaded with new meaning. "If you accept me, yes, I very much want to be your father, to know everything about you, to be present in every important moment." Anna, always the most cautious, studied him for a long moment. "Do you promise you won't leave again?" The question, so simple and yet so profound, made Daniel's eyes well up. "I promise with all the strength of my heart, I will never leave you again." To everyone's surprise, it was Anna who got up first, walking slowly towards Daniel. She stopped in front of him, her little eyes so similar to his, serious and contemplative. "Can I call you Daddy?" Daniel couldn't hold back the tears that finally rolled down his face. "It would be the greatest honor of my life," The girl nodded solemnly before throwing herself into his arms. Lily, not wanting to be left behind, joined the hug, wrapping her arms tightly around his neck. "Daddy," she exclaimed, savoring the new word. "Our daddy." Emily watched the scene, feeling her own tears roll freely. It was as if a circle had finally closed, as if an old wound was beginning to heal. "Mommy, come!" Anna called, extending her little hand. Excited, Emily approached, being pulled into the collective embrace. For a perfect moment, the four remained like that, intertwined. Finally complete. The following weeks were full of adjustments and discoveries. Daniel began to visit the small apartment daily, getting to know his daughter's routine, learning to help with homework, to tell bedtime stories, to deal with small tantrums and big existential questions. Mrs. Vance, still hospitalized, finally received a visit from her granddaughters. The encounter was surrounded by anticipation and tension, but the girls, with their innate ability to forgive, won over their grandmother in minutes. Anna, especially, seemed fascinated by the stories the old woman told about her father when he was a child. He also wanted to build things since he was little, Eleanor recounted, showing old photos Daniel had brought from his apartment. He used to build huge towers of blocks and would get furious when they fell down. "Just like me!" exclaimed Lily, excited by the similarity. Observing the interaction, Emily perceived Eleanor's transformation from the bitter, manipulative woman to a grandmother, desperate to make up for lost time. The illness, curiously, had been the catalyst for her humanization. After a month of daily visits, Daniel finally mustered the courage for the conversation he had been postponing with Emily. It was late at night. The girls were already asleep in their rooms. They were on the apartment balcony, sharing a bottle of wine, a luxury she rarely allowed herself before. "We need to talk about the future," he began, swirling the glass between his fingers. "We're fine as we are, don't you think?" she replied slightly defensively. "We are, but I feel like I'm always visiting. I always leave when they fall asleep." Emily knew where this conversation would lead. "What are you suggesting?" "I want us to live together, as a real family." She took a sip of wine, buying time. "It's too soon, Daniel. We just reconnected." "But we already lost 7 years." He placed his glass on the table, leaning closer. "I don't want to lose another day. The girls need stability. What if it doesn't work out between us? Have you thought about the emotional confusion for them? And what if it does work out? What if we lose the chance to be happy, all 4 of us together, out of fear?" The question hung between them, challenging. "I'm not talking about getting married tomorrow," he continued. "Just about living under the same roof, getting to know each other for real, in our daily lives. Building something together." Emily closed her eyes, letting the night breeze cool her face. She was tempted, very tempted. The last few weeks had shown a different Daniel than she remembered, more mature, more patient, more present, and the girls flourished with their father's presence, becoming more confident, happier. "Where would we live?" she finally asked, opening a small crack. His face lit up with hope. "Wherever you prefer. I can move here if you want to maintain the routine, or we can find a new place. That's ours. Or I have a house in the Surrey Hills, space, nature, excellent schools nearby, but I understand if it seems too far." Emily imagined her daughters growing up with space to run, trees to climb, away from the pollution and noise of the city. It was a dream she never imagined she could achieve as a single mother. "We could visit it," she suggested cautiously, "see if the girls like it." Daniel's smile lit up the night. "We can go tomorrow. It's Saturday. They don't have school. You had it all planned, didn't you?" "Hopeful," he corrected. "Just hopeful." The next day, the twins' excitement was contagious. The idea of visiting Daddy's house in the middle of the forest, as Lily had dramatically described it, left them talking non-stop throughout the journey. The property was impressive without being ostentatious. A contemporary house with clean lines, large windows, and a harmonious integration with the surrounding nature. A small artificial lake, a well-kept garden, and, to the girls' delight, a partially built treehouse. It was a project I started when I bought the land, Daniel explained, watching his daughters enthusiastically explore the structure. I never finished it. Maybe we could complete it together. Can we live in the treehouse? Lily asked, already imagining adventures. In the big house, my love, Emily laughed. The treehouse is for playing. Are there rooms for us? Anna wanted to know, always practical. Come see, Daniel invited, leading them inside the main house. The interior was spacious and welcoming, with a minimalist decor that surprised Emily. She expected something more ostentatious. Here could be your rooms, he showed, opening doors to two adjacent, large and bright but practically empty rooms. We can decorate them however you want. Can I have stars on the ceiling? Anna asked, looking up. And I a pink wall? Lily added. Anything you want, he promised, beaming. Emily watched, amazed at Daniel's transformation. He, who had always been so focused on business, on material conquests, now seemed to find his greatest joy in his daughter's small desires. At the end of the day, while the girls explored the garden under the supervision of the housekeeper, Daniel took Emily to the last room in the house, an office converted into something completely different. I was saving this for last, he said, opening the door. Emily entered and froze. The room had been transformed into a workspace and study area, with a large desk, bookshelves, and, most surprisingly, a bulletin board filled with information about specialized nursing courses. What is this? You always wanted to specialize in neonatal intensive care, he explained. I researched the best programs in the region. This space would be yours, for studying, working from home, whenever you wanted. She ran her fingers over the brochures, over the carefully selected books. You remembered. Everything, Emily. Every dream you shared with me, he approached cautiously. I don't want you to give up your career for us. I want you to expand it. To grow, I can help with the girl. We can make it work. Tears came without warning, overflowing before she could hold them back. They weren't tears of sadness, but of recognition, of being truly seen, understood, valued. This is high-level emotional manipulation, you know, she joked between sobs. He smiled, delicately wiping a tear with his thumb. It's love, Emily, just love. She looked at him, really looked at him, beyond the appearance, beyond the past, beyond the resentments. She saw the boy she had fallen in love with, the man she had lost, the father her daughters deserved, and something more, something new, and at the same time familiar. A partner, a travel companion. We're going to need time to organize the move, she finally said, surrendering to the inevitable. And I need to check the schools in the area. His expression changed from surprise to pure joy. Is that a yes? It's a let's try, she corrected, keeping her feet on the ground. One day at a time, no pressure. No pressure, he solemnly nodded, though his smile betrayed him. One day at a time. When they told the girls they would be moving to the house in the forest, the reaction was exactly what they expected. Shouts of joy, jumps of excitement, immediate plans for decorating their rooms. We're going to be a real family, exclaimed Lily, hugging her father's legs. We already are, Anna corrected, always the philosopher. Now, we're just going to live together. Emily and Daniel exchanged glances over their daughters' heads, a silent recognition of the wisdom contained in those simple words. The family didn't begin with the move, or even with the reunion at the hospital. It had always been there, interrupted, but never truly broken, just waiting for the moment to reunite again. Back at the apartment, with the girls asleep in the back seat of the car, Daniel held Emily's hand over the gear shift. "Thank you," he simply said. "For what?" "For not letting bitterness win, for giving us a second chance, for raising our daughters to be so wonderful." She squeezed his hand in response. Words were unnecessary. The road ahead wouldn't be perfect. There was much to rebuild, to learn, to forgive. But now they had time, and for the first time in 7 years, the certainty that they were exactly where they were meant to be.